You keep making promises to yourself. This week I'll wake up early. I'll stop wasting time. I'll eat better. I'll finally become consistent. But somehow, without even noticing, you fall back into the same routines. Not because you don't care, not because you're lazy, but because most of what you do every day isn't a decision. It's a habit, and habits are powerful because they work quietly. They shape your life in the background while you think you're in control. That's what makes this book so important. Today we're breaking down The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. It's one of the most practical books ever written about behavior change. Its core message is simple. If you understand how habits work, you can change almost anything in your life. Not overnight, not through motivation, but through systems that actually fit the way your brain works. Charles Duhigg explains that habits exist because the brain is designed to save effort. If your brain had to consciously think through every small action every day, you'd feel exhausted before lunch. So over time, the brain turns repeated actions into automatic routines. This is helpful when it comes to driving, brushing your teeth, or locking your door. But it also means bad patterns can become deeply wired without you realizing it. The book introduces one of its most important ideas early on, the habit loop. Every habit follows a three-step pattern. First, there's a cue. This is the trigger that tells your brain to start the routine. Then comes the routine, which is the action itself. Finally, there's the reward, which is the benefit your brain gets. That reward teaches your brain to remember the pattern and repeat it later. Think about something as simple as checking your phone. The cue might be boredom, silence, or hearing a notification. The routine is unlocking your phone and scrolling. The reward is a stimulation, distraction, or the feeling that you're connected. If that happens enough times, your brain starts expecting that reward. Soon you reach for your phone before you even realize you're doing it. This is where most people misunderstand change. They think they need more motivation. But Duhigg's point is that motivation matters less than understanding the loop. If you want to change your life, the first thing you need to do is become aware of your patterns. Not judge them, not fight them, just notice them clearly. Take procrastination. Most people think they procrastinate because they're lazy or unfocused. But what if procrastination is actually a habit loop? The cue might be feeling overwhelmed by a task. The routine is avoiding it by checking YouTube, messaging someone, or doing something easier. The reward is temporary relief. Your brain learns that avoidance makes discomfort disappear, at least for a moment. So the next time you feel stress, it repeats the same escape. The first lesson from this book is powerful because it removes shame. You stop saying, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What pattern am I stuck in?" That shift matters, because once you can see the pattern, you can work with it instead of fighting yourself. Duhigg explains that most habits can't simply be erased. This is the second major idea of the book. Habits are easier to replace than remove. This is one of the most practical things you'll ever learn. People often try to quit bad habits by cutting them out completely. They stop sugar, stop social media, stop staying up late. For a few days it works. Then stress hits, routine breaks, or life gets busy and they fall back. Why? Because the cue and craving are still there. The brain still wants the reward. If you only remove the routine without replacing it, you leave a gap. And the old behavior usually fills that gap again. Real change happens when you keep the same cue and reward, but choose a better routine. Imagine someone who stress eats every evening. Their cue is mental exhaustion after work. Their routine is opening snacks while watching videos. Their reward is comfort and emotional release. If they simply tell themselves, "I won't eat junk food anymore," that's not enough. But if they understand the loop, they can build a smarter replacement. Maybe after work, they take a short walk, shower, or make tea and sit quietly for 10 minutes. The reward is still comfort, but now the routine supports them instead of hurting them. This is how real habit change works. Not through force. through design. And here's the part people often miss. Your replacement habit has to feel realistic. If your current habit is staying up late, watching random videos, replacing that with, "I'll read for 2 hours and sleep perfectly," probably won't work. But replacing it with, "I'll put my phone away 30 minutes earlier and read 5 pages" might. Big goals fail because they ask too much too fast. Habits succeed because they make change feel normal. This leads to one of the deepest lessons in the book. Small actions are never just small. They become evidence. Every repeated action sends your brain a message about who you are. When you make your bed in the morning, you're not just cleaning a room. You're practicing order. When you keep a promise to yourself, even a tiny one, you build trust. When you choose a better response in a stressful moment, you teach your brain a new identity. That's why habits matter more than goals in the long run. Goals give direction. Habits create reality. A goal is something you want. A habit is what you repeat. And what you repeat always wins. Think about someone who wants to become healthier. Their goal might be to lose weight. But the number on the scale isn't what changes them. What changes them is becoming the kind of person who walks daily, eats with awareness, sleeps on time, and respects their body. Those habits slowly create a new identity. This is why lasting change often feels boring. It's not dramatic. It's repetition. But repetition is where transformation lives. Another important lesson in the book is that willpower is not a fixed trait. It's something that can be trained. Most people think disciplined people were born different. But Duhigg explains that willpower works more like a muscle. It gets stronger when used well and weaker when constantly exhausted. This changes how you think about self-control. The problem for many people is not that they have no willpower. The problem is that they waste it on too many decisions, too much chaos, and too many unnecessary battles. For example, if every morning starts in confusion, late alarms, missed plans, and rushed choices, you begin your day mentally tired. By evening, you have nothing left. That's when bad habits return. But when people create structure, they protect energy. Simple routines reduce mental friction. Waking up at the same time, preparing tomorrow the night before, planning meals, blocking focus time, setting limits on distractions. These things sound ordinary, but that's the point. Ordinary systems protect extraordinary progress. A real-life example Duhigg discusses is how certain organizations improve performance by focusing on keystone habits. A keystone habit is a habit that creates positive ripple effects in other areas. This is one of the most powerful concepts in the whole book. A keystone habit doesn't need to be huge. It just needs to influence other behaviors. For some people, exercise becomes a keystone habit, not because workouts magically fix life, but because regular movement improves sleep, mood, confidence, and food choices. For someone else, journaling might be the keystone habit, because once they reflect every day, they become more aware, less reactive, and more intentional. For another person, it might be sleeping on time, because better sleep improves patience, focus, energy, and emotional control. The key is to stop trying to change everything at once. Most people fail because they treat self-improvement like an emergency. They attack 10 habits at once, burn out, and then quit. Duhigg's message is the opposite. Start small, but start where change spreads. Ask yourself, what one habit, if I improved it, would make other parts of my life easier? That question can change everything. Now here's something surprising from the book that many people overlook. Habits are driven less by action and more by craving. The real power behind a habit is anticipation. You don't just drink coffee because you like coffee. You crave alertness. You don't scroll social media because you need updates. You crave novelty. You don't avoid hard work because you enjoy delay. You crave relief. This insight matters because it changes where you focus. Most people try to change visible behavior without understanding invisible desire. That's why they struggle. If you know what emotional reward you're chasing, you can create better ways to meet that need. Maybe what looks like laziness is actually exhaustion. Maybe what looks like distraction is actually anxiety. Maybe what looks like a lack of discipline is actually a need for certainty. Once you understand the craving, you stop fighting the surface and start solving the root. That's where real freedom begins. Another important truth from the book is that your environment shapes your habits more than you think. People love the idea that success comes from inner strength alone, but doing shows that surroundings matter. Your brain constantly responds to what is easy, visible, and familiar. If junk food is within reach, you'll eat more. If your phone is next to your bed, you'll check it first. If your workspace is cluttered, focus becomes harder. If your gym clothes are ready the night before, you're more likely to move. This is not weakness. This is human behavior. Smart people don't rely on constant self-control. They reduce friction, make good habits easier, make bad habits harder. That one principle can change your life quietly. Put books where you can see them. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Keep your phone out of your room at night. Prepare healthy food before hunger hits. Create systems before you need motivation. These small changes may seem too simple, but habits are built in small moments, and small moments become years. Now let's come to the strongest lesson in this entire book. You do not rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your habits. That idea is uncomfortable but freeing, because it means your future is not controlled by one perfect decision. It is built by what you repeat when nobody is watching. You don't become confident by waiting to feel ready. You become confident by repeatedly doing what you said you would do. You don't become calm by wishing life were easier. You become calm by practicing better responses under pressure. You don't become successful because you want more. You become successful because your daily systems move you there. This is why habits are so powerful. They don't just shape results, they shape identity. Every time you repeat something, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. That means even your smallest actions matter. One glass of water, one short walk, one page read, one promise kept, one distraction resisted. These are not meaningless acts. They are proof. And over time, proof becomes belief. So here's the one practical action you can take today. Choose one habit in your life that frustrates you. Just one. Then write down, what triggers it? What do I usually do? What reward am I getting? Be honest. After that, create one simple replacement routine that feels easy enough to repeat. Not ideal, not impressive, just repeatable. If you procrastinate, start with 5 focus minutes. If you stay up too late, put your phone away 15 minutes earlier. If you skip workouts, commit to a 10-minute walk. If you stress eat, pause before eating and ask what you actually need. Start small enough that your brain doesn't resist. Because change is not built through intensity. It's built through consistency. And that's the real message of this book. Your life is not shaped by what you want once in a while. It is shaped by what you do often. The routines you protect become the future you live inside. So if you want a different life, don't wait for a new version of yourself to arrive. Build that person slowly, one habit at a time.